1, 2.
Splendour live show really is about, I guess, bringing to life the songs we've got on our current EP and the things we're looking at doing in the future with the record, and really taking those arrangements to a live setting, because there's lots of harmonies, there's lots of sort of layering to emphasise the dynamic of different parts. So I think it's about playing real music though, you know, and we want people to see that we're doing this for real. It's not a lot of tricks in the studio. I certainly don't have anything against triggering things and loops and things like that, but I think it's really nice when you hear real instrumentation and you hear harmonies that are sort of happening as you're there, rather than sort of backing tracks or any sort of tuning on them and things like that.
Before a show, I think everyone else is a lot more involved in like warming up and getting in the zone.
You know, if there's a show that night, I like to sort of get my headspace running from a couple of hours before that. So if we're still traveling, I'll just sort of keep to myself a bit and just get my own headspace.
Usually the last 45 minutes before we play, it locks into a pretty similar routine where we get together with an acoustic guitar and just work different songs where they've got some key harmonies and get everyone's voices warmed up and just get that right feeling of making the voices sound right together, because then I guess you get into the right headspace as far as going out and then being able to deliver that on stage.
But I don't really sing as much as they do, so I don't really need to warm up that much. And I'm ready to play a show anytime. Yeah, I think I'm pretty relaxed about it. Yeah, I like to try and be myself on stage. I don't really need to get in a special. There's no difference between myself right now and myself playing music, except that I'm holding a guitar and playing music.
To actually hear something that's been put on a record translated into a live thing, I think this is something a bit more special about actually that one experience taking place, because it's unique. You're never going to hear that exact gig again in your life, so it's worth getting out there and just seeing what can happen as far as the emotional connection and what we're putting in as artists. So I think it's really worthwhile.
A normal day on the road can be anything from really exciting or really boring and anywhere in between. Generally, you're getting up early, you're traveling somewhere, you're driving in a car, flying, and whatever it is, sitting in the bus. So there's a lot of time, so I sort of find that I read my book, I listen to music, I just take killing time, really.
I read really nerdy books, like ones with sword fights and stuff. I'm not gonna actually give you the name of the books, man. Right
now I'm reading a Stephen King book. It's called A Year in the Mud. It's about this English guy who goes to France to work for a year to help this guy set up these cafes that are meant to be English-styled cafes in France.
A good artist to go on tour with, or that we've been on tour with, is Laura Marling.
We've just been on the road with Laura Marling over there, and you know, we met some of the boys, some other bands like Mumford & Sons along the way, and some of the crew they have, everyone's just really into music. They really dig music, and not that we don't dig music here, we certainly do, but there's a real like, hey, you come support us, then I'll support you on this tour, and we'll get our mate over here to support us on this tour, and they sort of just go in this cluster and all just tour with each other. And it was actually real eye-opening to just not thinking about music in any kind of business way, but getting back and just being like, you know what, we're touring, we're here to play shows, just to play music, and that's what it's essentially all about. So for me, I think going overseas really opened my eyes and gave a freshness just to like realize it's just music. That's all it is. It's just enjoyment and music, and it's essentially at one level it's a selfish thing. It's just for your enjoyment. You do it for yourself, and if other people like it, that's great.
The Chemists from Melbourne, they're pretty good. They're fun to tour with.
Why are they fun?
I don't know, they're just, yeah, they're cool guys. They laugh at our jokes.
Angus and Julia Stone have just we had so much fun on the road. We would just do covers every night. We'd play Fleetwood Mac songs together on stage during their set. We'd get up and sing with them on some of their songs. And yeah, I think both those guys really stand out so far as great people to tour with.
It depends what sort of a person you like. I think it's less about making real friends and more about getting along with people.
The process for songs usually starts with me writing a limited version of the song, or sort of the skeleton of the track.
And we sort of do a quick demo at my house. I've got a bit of recording gear, and then we start looking for ways to sort of spice it up really straight away. So we're looking for hooks, we're looking for parts that really need a push, parts that need a chug, and where the song sort of gets there and where it's sort of still building. And I think sort of identifying those parts in what Dave's brought is the next step, and then we sort of go on to bring it to the band room and we start jamming the song, and we have a demo to show everyone. And
from there we might change things, like maybe we'll change a bridge, maybe we'll change some chords. We work on harmonies from there and try to sort of structure it so it gets to a certain point that we're happy with in the song, and then from there I guess we finish it by recording a demo. And then over the next 6 weeks after the demo is done, we might go and change things, add layers, and until we're satisfied that it's ready to go on the record. All of a sudden, like, I ask Kill a question, he's like... Did you miss that joke?
I think it's about, you know, looking for when you don't need to play, and then when something subtle you can play has the impact, is generally the way that I look about what I want to bring to a song.
Concepts of the tracks are really ambiguous, I think. I guess I approach lyrics fairly aesthetically, so I don't run a really tight line. I try and use language which creates some sort of emotion more often than not indirectly, and sort of work within those parameters to hopefully gain some sort of meaning and sense to whatever I'm feeling subconsciously, as opposed to trying to write specifically about something. I think what makes a good song, I think there's a variety of things. I think it's a combination of elements. I don't know, it's such a broad answer, but it's really subjective, and there's plenty of stuff which is really credible and loved by millions of people, which I don't really understand.
The first thing I think about is a vocal melody and where the melody is going to change, if it's different at the end of the song or if it sort of ties back the start to the end. Something that can kind of bring you in and draw you in.
I think it's being able to draw an emotion, whether that be any emotion, and to be able to sort of take the listener on some sort of journey from start to finish, whether that be really flat or really you know, all over the shop. If it's sort of controlled and pushed and pulled in the right spots, and when the lyrics and the dynamics and the whole arrangement works to create those movements really effectively, I think that's when the songs are at their best. It's good. It's sort of, I'll come with an initial idea and these guys give life to it.
When we do release our album,
It's really important that we really try and establish a sound which is just ours.
We want to keep evolving and really keep challenging ourselves creatively.
It's healthy to look back and reflect on where you've come from and your influences, but you've got to keep moving forward and create something different.
something that they hopefully haven't heard before, as well as, you know, something they just enjoy.
Something that holds a bit of mystery to it and that challenges people, you know, and and sort of pushes people's musical taste a little further. And that's a big call for a band to do, but I don't want people to listen to us because they listen to folk music or they listen to indie music.
Definitely, I think we're less attached to putting a guitar, a drums, a bass, an organ or a piano. I'm trying to think a bit more outside of the square as far as what can actually add some additional elements to the songs as far as sonically. So.
I think you can record like two types of albums. One that's immediately catchy, people get and understand because they've heard it before, or you can maybe try to do something a little different, a little left wing, and it might take people a few times through the album to get it. But I kind of like that album better because those are the albums that you listen to year in, year out. And I think the songs are good, and I think the way we work together is good. And the hardest thing I've heard said before about being in a band is keeping the band together, and that's something the communication's good at the moment, and we're all working together well.
Cross our fingers and hope it goes down well.
I've been down to the park where the